What if the miracle you've been praying for comes from the person you least expect? Stay with me, because what happened in this mansion will melt your heart. And don't forget to subscribe to Black Inside 2.0 for more life-changing stories. The mansion stood like a quiet island at the edge of a long driveway lined with tall oak trees. It was beautiful on the outside, grand pillars, polished windows, graceful archways, but inside, it felt as though time itself had stopped. Every footstep echoed, every whisper lingered, every breath carried worry, because in this mansion lived a child, a little boy named Evan. Evan was the only son of Mr. Alistair Grant, a billionaire known around the world for his businesses, his success, and his power. Yet for all the achievements he had gathered, there was one thing he wished for every single day, something money had never been able to buy. His son's chance to walk again. Evan had spent most of his tiny life inside a wheelchair. Doctors had tried everything. Experts had flown from different countries, and endless treatments had taken place behind those elegant doors. Still, Evan's small legs remained too weak to carry him. There was no anger, no blame, just an overwhelming sadness that wrapped itself around the family like a heavy blanket. And 3 days ago, the doctor visited again. He didn't speak loudly. He didn't blame anyone. He simply placed a hand on the father's shoulder and gently said that Evan's time might be shorter than they hoped. His health was fragile, his energy fading, and the little spark in his eyes, once bright enough to light any room, now flickered softly like the last flame of a candle. Mr. Grant felt the world tilt. How could a home so large feel so small? How could a future once so full of dreams feel so uncertain? He closed himself inside his study. He stared at the wall for hours. He prayed in silence. He hoped, even when hope seemed impossible. And somewhere in the city, far away from polished floors and crystal chandeliers, a barefoot little boy named Milo was laughing in the sunlight. Milo didn't have a bedroom, or toys, or a warm meal waiting for him at the end of the day. But what he did have was something most adults had lost long ago. A heart that believed anything was possible. He spent most of his days near the town square. He helped vendors carry crates, handed out flowers he picked from the park, and played with the children who gathered by the fountain. He had no parents, only the kindness of strangers and the strength inside him to keep moving. Yet Milo never complained, never cried, never gave in to fear. He simply lived, grateful for every sunrise. One afternoon, while offering tiny paper stars he folded himself to anyone willing to smile, Milo overheard two drivers talking about the enormous mansion down the road. "The billionaire's son," one said quietly. "Poor child, they say he has only a few days left." "Such a tragedy," the other murmured. "The father has everything in the world, except the one miracle he needs." Milo stopped walking. He didn't understand money. He didn't understand sickness, but he understood sadness. He knew what it felt like to wish for someone to stay when the world felt too big and too lonely. And at that moment, he felt something warm inside him. A stirring, a calling. Without fully understanding why, Milo whispered, "Maybe I can help." Not because he thought he was special, not because he believed he had magic, but because sometimes, kindness walks into the world quietly and changes everything. Barefoot and determined, Milo began the long walk toward the mansion. The guards at the mansion gates were confused when they saw a tiny boy with dusty shorts, uncombed hair, and no shoes walking confidently toward them. "Hey, little one guard said gently. "This isn't a place for visitors. Are you lost?" "No," Milo replied with innocent certainty. "I came to help the boy inside." The guards exchanged looks. Children sometimes said unpredictable things. But there was something unusual about this child, a sincerity in his eyes that made adults pause. "What's your name?" the guard asked. "Milo." "And what help are you talking about?" Milo shrugged. "I don't know yet, but I will know when I see him." The guards didn't know what to do. Sending him away felt wrong. Letting him in felt strange. So they hesitated, and in that hesitation, fate stepped forward. Because at that exact moment, Mr. Grant walked down the marble steps, needing fresh air, needing space, needing anything to distract him from the weight pressing on his chest. His eyes landed on the small boy at the gate, and for the first time in days, he blinked in mild confusion instead of sorrow. "What is this about?" he asked softly. Milo looked up at him with brave eyes. "Sir, I heard your boy is sad. I want to make him smile." Mr. Grant stared. He could have laughed. He could have cried. He could have ordered the guards to escort Milo away. But something about the child's sincerity shook him. A small voice in his heart whispered, "Let him try. Come in, Mr. Grant said gently. and two worlds, one of wealth, one of survival, walked toward each other for the first time. Evan was sitting quietly in his wheelchair when Milo entered the playroom. There were toys everywhere, blocks, stuffed animals, tiny cars. But Evan wasn't touching any of them. His small hands rested on his lap, still, tired, unsure. Milo didn't rush toward him. He didn't speak too loudly. He simply sat down on the floor across from Evan, crossing his legs and offering the softest smile. "Hi," Milo said. "I'm Milo." Evan blinked. "I'm Evan." Milo looked around. "Wow, you have so many toys." Evan lowered his eyes. "I don't play much." "That's okay," Milo said kindly. "Then we can just talk." And so they talked. About clouds. About favorite colors. About what it feels like to laugh. About silly things like dinosaurs wearing hats. Slowly, carefully, Evan smiled. Mr. Grant, watching from the doorway, felt tears gather in his eyes. His son hadn't smiled like that in weeks. Something was happening. Something gentle. Something precious. Milo wasn't performing miracles. He wasn't chanting spells. He wasn't doing anything except being present, fully, sincerely. Sometimes hope arrives quietly. Milo came back the next day. This time, he had folded a small paper star, bright yellow, crinkled around the edges from being carried in his pocket. "It's for you," he told Evan. "It's for courage." Evan held it gently, gazing at it as though it were something priceless. "Do you want to try something?" Milo asked softly. Evan looked up. Milo held out his hands. "Just hold on, you don't have to stand. Just hold." After a moment of hesitation, Evan placed his small hands into Milo's. Their fingers intertwined, one pair soft and fragile, the other warm and steady. Mr. Grant stepped forward instinctively, but Milo shook his head gently. "Just let him try." Evan took a breath, then another, and slowly, so slowly it felt like time had stopped, he leaned forward. Milo didn't pull, he didn't lift, he didn't force, he simply offered support, and Evan stood. For the first time in months, he stood. Mr. Grant gasped, his hands flying to his head, tears spilling as he whispered. Oh my goodness." Milo smiled, calm and steady. "You're doing great, Evan. I'm right here." Evan's legs trembled, but he stayed standing, holding on to Milo as though he were holding on to the whole world. The room felt brighter, the air felt lighter, something had awakened, hope. From that moment forward, everything changed. Milo came every day. Sometimes he brought paper stars. Sometimes he brought flowers he found in the garden. Sometimes he brought stories he made up on the walk to the mansion. But what he always brought was warmth. And Evan blossomed. He laughed again. He played again. He tried again. Day by day, step by shaky step, he grew stronger. Not because of medicine, not because of money, but because someone believed in him. Someone who had nothing, yet gave everything. Mr. Grant often watched with a hand over his heart, unable to understand how this barefoot child from the streets had brought more healing than all the expensive treatments money could buy. But miracles don't always come wrapped in luxury. Sometimes they come holding paper stars. One afternoon, as the sun poured golden light through the tall arched windows, Evan walked, truly walked, holding Milo's hands as his guide. 6 steps, then 10, then 15. Mr. Grant fell to his knees. He didn't cry from fear anymore. He cried from gratitude. He approached Milo, voice shaking. "How can I ever thank you? Anything you want, anything, just tell me." Milo shook his head. "I don't need anything, sir. Evan is my friend. That's enough." Mr. Grant's heart felt as though it might burst. Sometimes the richest person in the room is the one with nothing in their pockets but everything in their heart. People in the mansion grew fond of Milo. The staff adored him. Neighbors spoke about him. The city began to hear whispers about the mysterious child who helped the billionaire's son stand again. And one evening, Mr. Grant made a decision from the deepest part of his heart. "Milo," he said gently, kneeling to meet the boy's eyes, "how would you feel about becoming part of our family? You'd have a home, a warm bed, and people who care for you every day." Milo froze. His eyes widened, his breath caught, then tears filled his lashes, not from sadness but from overwhelming joy. "Yes," he whispered, "I'd like that very much." And Evan, standing proudly on his own 2 feet for the first time in ages, hugged his new brother tightly. The mansion wasn't silent anymore. It was alive, filled with giggles, filled with light, filled with second chances. Within weeks, Evan walked without help. Within months, he ran down hallways with Milo chasing behind him. Doctors were astonished, neighbors were speechless, the world watched as a story of pure kindness unfolded. But Milo never took credit. He always said the same words. Evan healed because he believed he could. But everyone knew. He believed because Milo walked into his life at the exact moment hope was needed most. Years later, the mansion's walls were covered with hundreds of paper stars. Each one was a reminder that kindness is powerful, that miracles can come from unexpected places, that even the smallest hands can lift someone from darkness into light. And on the very first star, the one Milo gave Evan on that second day, Mr. Grant had carefully written, "When love leads, miracles follow." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Black Inside 2.0 for more emotional war stories. Your support helps us continue sharing moments of hope, kindness, and humanity. Thank you for watching.